Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fight for Our Freedom Radio. And tonight we are supposed to have Robert Evans with us again, but I don't know. Last 2 days he disappeared. I left him a couple messages. We'll see what happens. All righty, then. Are you with me?
I am here, my dear.
Okay. Looks like we're going to be stood up again tonight.
What else is new?
Oh, you know, if my week could get any rougher, I don't know how rough it could get.
Yeah, I know. I just need to. I want to let everybody know that for all of you who don't know, my bad girl, she just lost her beautiful Doberman Trixie. She lost her 2 days ago, and it's, you know what? When someone is part of your family, dog or cat or whatever, bird, they're a part of your family, and that's a very, very hard thing to go through. So I just want to let you know that my hearts and thoughts are with you, my dearest. And it's a very difficult thing to go through anytime. It doesn't matter who or what being. That was a being that was part of your life. And, you know, to leave this earthly plane, to go on to her next existence is tough, because they're moving forward, doing what they have to do. So I just want to let you know that my heart's there for you, and I'm sorry, sweetheart. I really am.
Yeah, it was rough. But, you know, I know she's in a better place. Marlo's not dealing with it very well. He's not eating. He's not going to the bathroom.
Right.
And I do know he saw her spirit out there where we buried her.
Well, guaranteed.
He was out there. His hair was standing up on his back from his head to his tail, and he was barking towards where she was buried, running from one side of the tree to the other. And then her spirit must have went back in the ground, because he ran right over there and started scratching at her grave like, "Where'd you go?"
Right.
You know, it was really strange. A couple things have happened. I heard toenails walking across, you know, the dog's toenails walking across the kitchen floor, and there was nobody in there.
Well, that's because her spirit's there, you know.
Yeah.
She's just, you know, that's the whole thing about, it doesn't matter what being you are, whatever, you know, you're inhabiting as a consciousness. You don't leave immediately. You hang around for a couple of days, and you just want to, because really, first of all, either you or me or Trixie or whoever is trying to figure out what the heck just happened. Right? They're trying to understand it, and they're whole and they're good and they're fine and everything's fine, but they're looking at themselves, and I know this is a fact because I've seen way, 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 way too many videos of this posted on YouTube, that when, you know, a being, whether you, me, the dog, whatever, is looking back on itself saying, "That's not me. No way that's me. I know me." But I think they get to understanding the fact that that was the container that they were inhabiting. That was the existence they portrayed in this lifetime for themselves. And they look at it and go, "That's not me. No, me's here." And they have a really hard time accepting the fact that they inhabited that physical life. Yeah, I could imagine that could be a trip, you know. And we're all going to go through it. We're all going to go through it. It's a fact.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's amazing. It's so amazing, because I know on the other side, it's, you know, I've said this so many times. It's as above, so below. You know, it's not that much different. It's what we have a hard time with in the physical realm, this physical 3D realm, is that, you know, there's an expiration date. And when you go to the other side, there is no expiration date. It's just what we choose to do in our next adventure. And that's the hardest part we have with in the physical loss of this life, of these lives. You know, it's all an acceptance and understanding that we've transferred our consciousness out of the container in the next dimension, and then everything is exactly the same. This is the weird part, right? It's exactly the same on the other side, except you don't get any older. You don't feel pain. You certainly don't have to worry about money or bills or any of that nonsense that we create here on this planet, because this is and this is even stranger, right? We create these experiences of the physical on this other side to learn lessons, right? And then you get back on the other side and you say, why the heck would I put myself through this? Because it's about growth. It's about experience and growth. Because on the other side, it takes so much longer, right? Think about this. And everything is there at an instant when you think about it, and it exists. Why the heck would you want to go through a physical, a 3D experience when on the other side it's all there? Because it enhances your progression towards higher consciousness. And I've heard this many, many, many times from higher beings in the physical 3D or 4D or 5D world, however anybody chooses to look at that. But it's an experience, and it's an enhanced experience because it gets you closer to source that much quicker. So it's really it's very dilemmic in the sense that, yes, there's this physical thing, and we have to experience it, but we choose. See, that's the big difference. We make that choice to come here to have this physical experience to enhance our consciousness. Our consciousness is everything. It creates everything. It invokes everything. So
let me interrupt you for a minute, Rob.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You gotta let people know that we don't know where Robert Evans is again tonight.
Right.
I sent him the link a couple days ago, and I looked at his Facebook page. He has not posted for a couple days, which is unusual again. Last time when he didn't show up, you guys, he went to the hospital, so I don't know what's going on again. I
just hope he's okay.
Yeah, me too. It's not like him not to answer the phone. If he, usually when I call, he answers right to me. So let's just hope to God he's not back at the hospital again. I think that if I book him again, I'm going to have a backup.
We'll send him one of those little disposable cell phones and say, here, you hold on to this, right? And when you get the call, it's like the bat phone, right?
Yeah.
It lights up. It's, oh, Lord, I just hope he's okay. Yeah.
He's, let's just say we know he is okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Let's talk a little bit about, for those that came in, what Robert was talking about was I lost my dog 2 days ago. And so she's gone to the other side. She's crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and we're all going to miss her terribly. And it's a void I can't fill right now. I just, for Marlo's sake, I'm trying to be happy in front of him because he's taking it really hard, and when we're all sad, he's sad. So just keep us in your prayers. It's just been a rough, very, very rough week for me. I don't even know what I'm doing here tonight. I know. I haven't been sleeping. My eyes feel like they're, 2 pieces of sandpaper from crying.
Right. I know.
I'm gonna give you the responsibility of reading the chat tonight.
You know, I only lost my dad in June, right? And so June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So 6.5 months. It's so fresh. I think about him every day, but I know where he is. And I've had a chance to talk to him, or not talk to him, but communicate with him on the other side. And, you know, it was so funny because you were listening in on that.
And I don't call all the time into Michael's show, but I just happened to call in that night, and I heard you on there talking to them, and I thought that was a great experience. But why don't you tell everybody what you saw tonight? And, it's so weird because just before the show, I went on to Facebook, and they were live streaming this, and I was going, oh, my God, I wonder if Robert's looking at this.
It was about 45 minutes ago or so? Yeah, about 45 minutes.
5 minutes ago.
I opened the studio door, I walked outside, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Now, you were saying that there was some sort of rocket launch, and I'm like, oh, no. That was no rocket launch. I've seen rocket launches. I've seen them many times. They go straight up. When a rocket launches,
the live stream that I found on Facebook,
but that's what you were
live stream from the news down there.
Exactly. No, I'm not saying that you were saying that. Oh no, this is what it was. You were simply saying this is what you heard, and I'm telling you that was no rocket launch. First of all, I'm in Arizona. This is in California. And if you were to actually try and look at a rocket launch from Arizona to California, you'll never see it. It's not going to happen. What I saw was like I have been seeing on the Internet being posted by people worldwide. I see this thing, light. Let's just call it a light, okay? And this light is brightly lit. But it's going west. It's not going straight up. It's not going up. It's going to the west. Okay? And all these clouds over to the far northwest are lit up. This is not smoke. These are clouds that are just being lit up by this light, whatever this light is. And then in the center of between the far west, northwest, and where this light is emanating from, there's something else being lit up towards the middle to midwest of whatever.
White things that were swirling around?
Well, there wasn't a swirl. As far as I could see, there was no swirl, but all I saw is this object moving towards the west on the horizon. When rockets go up, they go straight up. That's it. They go straight up. And from California, I guarantee you, from where I am in Phoenix, there's no way you'd see this. No possible way. Impossible. I'm watching this object going across the horizon to the west, moving fairly quickly. And I was like, what the heck is going on? What is this? It's not possible. It's not possible. Rockets don't go. Okay,
well,
I'll even give it this. I'll even give it this.
Next week we have Walter Bosley on, and I'm going to put that posting on Walter's page, and Walter can tell us what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I videotaped it. I recorded it off my phone. Okay, so I watched this, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? But I've seen these same examples worldwide. You can go on YouTube and just type it in, bizarre strange lights and so on and so forth. And these aren't rockets. It's not a rocket. It's not possible. How could a rocket launch from California shoot across the horizon, into the stratosphere and then go vertical, not horizontally, but vertically across. You're not going to see that. Rockets, when they shoot them up, when they shoot these satellites up, how many people, just for instance, how many people have been there at a rocket launch of some satellite or something? These rockets are small, and they're going straight up. They have all the telemetry and computer gadgets on board, and then they have, what's it called, a stabilizer, which basically sits in the center of the rocket, which is like a, what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't remember it right at the moment, but what it does is stabilizes the rocket from veering off course. And they had figured this out back in the 50s and the 60s, So this thing would have just shot straight up, and if you were close enough, you would have seen the exhaust coming out of this rocket. This wasn't it. And as close as this object was, and as bright as it was, if we manufactured this because we know how to do rocket propellants, as close as this thing was, I would have heard something. There was nothing to hear. It was just light moving across the horizon towards the west and following the curvature of the Earth. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, what it reminded me of is, the videos Dave Dobbs puts up where it shows them coming straight down, and it had the burn off on each side.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
But it certainly wasn't that. I didn't see any rocket boosters tumble off of this thing or anything like that. But then again, being that far away, these things wouldn't even be a pinprick as you're looking towards the west. It wouldn't be possible. This object was so large and bright, it was amazing to me.
It was
amazing. I'm like, no, that there's no way that's a rocket. And then again, we had, the 1997 Phoenix Lights, and then again in 2007, the same thing happened. But this was not that, but it was just as mind-blowing to watch this as I'm stepping outside. Look, rockets do not ignite clouds. They don't do it. Watch any shuttle rocket launch, even at night. Watch them. Go on YouTube and watch them. They do not ignite clouds. Do they not make them glow? I mean, you're talking from where I was standing and watching this thing, it had to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. Yet you had this glow of these clouds, okay? And it didn't dissipate. Why were these clouds all lit up? Not possible. Rockets, with our, so-called modern technology, there is no way they could do that. It was the most, again, incredible thing. One more thing incredible like that to watch it, and now you're going to get all the nonsense. Trust me, you're going to get all the baloney from the mainstream crap media trying to tell you it was this, it was that, it was the other thing. Immediately, right? As you were as you put up that Facebook post that we're right, and they're up in the helicopter and we're watching this rocket launch and looks good and blah 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 blah, and they're going to use that as an excuse to tell everybody that that's what it was, when I know for a fact absolutely not. No way, no how. Watch any rocket launch from Cape Canaveral, from Kennedy, from wherever, and you will never see that happen. Yet you have these clouds, and literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away, being, that they're glowing to the northwest, okay? And there's like this streak of light going across to this object which is emitting all this light. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I'm telling you, whatever they tell you on mainstream media is a bunch of garbage, because there's no way that's what it was. Period. End of story. Whatever that was, I believe personally, this is my personal take on this, is part of the Planet X system. Okay? What did we hear just a day ago, 2 days ago? Well, now we don't, this object out in space that's coming towards Earth. Well, now we thought it was, these lights, and now we're saying, we don't know what it is. It could be debris. It could be this. Well, what would bring the debris in? Is anybody listening to Marshall Masters, who had talked about this forever? This incoming debris that this binary system is bringing in. Could this be part of it? Now, I'm not saying what I saw tonight was that, but what they have been saying, mainstream media probably trying to prepare everybody for these, not it, these objects coming in that will penetrate the Earth. I said years and years and years ago, I said, forget about Planet X, forget about a pole shift, forget all that. I said, we're going to get probably hit by some sort of debris, some rocks from this system coming in that's going to cause complete devastation either in the oceans or coastlines. Okay? Let's go back to 2013 with the Chelyabinsk event, when that object came in, and it was only the size of a bus, gang. It was only the size of a bus. When it hit the atmosphere, entered the atmosphere, started to disintegrate, and it exploded, right, before it hit the ground, it caused massive damage to buildings. Let's not forget this. They said, reportedly from Russia, 1,200 buildings were damaged. That means glass being blown out, doors being blown open, or whatever, causing severe damage. You remember the video footage from all that? It's all out there. You can watch it on YouTube. It's still there. That was the size of a bus. Now imagine an object the size, let's say, of a house. Forget a bus. Let's say a house. What do you think that would do? And I happen to believe that there was intervention that had taken place that blew that thing out of the sky, because an object the size of a bus without intervention would have hit. And imagine the devastation it would have caused. So now they're talking about, the scientists, right? Mainstream science talking about, well, we see these objects or things coming closer and towards us. They're all lying to us. We know that this is part of the Planet X system that's coming in.
Robert.
I'm sorry.
Let me unmute. Welcome to the call, Huggy Bear. You have a question or a comment? Hello, Huggy Bear. She must have a problem.
Is she there?
I unmuted her. She had her hand raised. Huggy Bear, are you with us?
She may have muted her.
Going once, going twice. Unless she walked away.
Okay, well, she'll call back in because she's an avid listener.
Just had her hand raised. Oh, there she goes again.
I just saw that.
Maybe we're having tech problems.
Yeah, maybe.
I fixed it as you were. My bad. I mean,
Hey, girlfriend, how are you?
Hey. Well, I'm targeted too. I said so. It's bad. It's good and bad. There's no good, but I'm trying to keep. I'm trying. I'm really trying to keep my frequencies up, keeping upbeat, and because I don't want to pass over. Angry.
Wrong kind of attitude.
Yeah, because I've done enough research, and my gut tells me that that's not something we want, to cross over with, with our spirits. And I've had a lot of paranormal in my life, and some of it's been good. It hasn't all been
Which
bad.
is important. Which is important, by the way, because it's never all bad. There's a mixture of both, because as above, so below, right? I mean, that's the process of learning that we go through. You can't have all good and know what bad is, and you can't have all bad and know what good is. You got to go through both sides.
I was listening to this guy Michael from Around the World. I don't know if you all ever heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Around the World. Yeah.
I've been following him since I think 2014, 15, steadily. I mean, I used to listen to him every night. I would download his SoundCloud. He'd throw it over on SoundCloud, and you could re-listen. And I mean, I learned more about the targeting from him than anybody, hands down. And he was an insider.
Right.
And he said he was on BP Earthwatch. I'll never forget it. He called in, and that was when BP Earthwatch was having his first end time. Everybody was figuring out it was end times.
Yeah, I remember him when he first came online. I was listening I was listening to him intently. Thank you.
Yeah. And me too. So was I. And he was doing. He started Blog Talk. Bless his heart. And you could call. Everybody was calling in. Excuse me. And Michael called in, and it's the first time ever. And he was scared. You could hear. And he was an insider. And he comes from a family of like agencies, high levels, and all that. And he knows so much. I mean, he knows a lot. That it's enough to make you think that he's DARPA or who knows, But there is actually DARPA scientists that is targeted as well, in case you don't know.
Yeah, no, I know. Oh, I
It's,
absolutely know.
I mean, it's anybody that says, this, I cannot live with I have to speak up. I'm not for this, and boom, So I mean, it's obvious that Deborah Tavares did an interview a couple years back with Ron Angel, and he was in Florida. He's targeted too. So is Deborah now, and it's never ending. And he used to work on the computer systems and the supercomputers, and he says that that they turned the system against good people, and he had all the papers and everything. Had documents, I mean, and I learned. I mean, that was probably where I should have stopped, And I have talked to super soldiers as well, and and they've been to hell and back. The ones that speak out,
right?
And it's just when you learn more and more. But I refuse to give up on humanity because I believe, when I think of all what I thought was evil up here, turns out, it's not as bad. It's underground, So
Right.
maybe in the long run we're the lucky ones. But anyway, in 2013, I'm down in Florida, and oh my God, the chemtrails are horrific. I mean, I could hear them spraying. I mean, I would hear it, and you
Wow.
could just feel it. And when you can hear it, it's weird. And I used to get out there with I started getting outside in the morning with my Zoom camera and my tripod. And I mean, I got planes going by and everything else, and I didn't care. And I caught something, and I thought, what is that? It looked like 4 planets going by, up above the clouds, the chem clouds. And so I thought, I got to film this again, and I did the next morning and the next morning. And I brought on the film, put it on my computer, and lo and behold, it was 5 planets. And at that time, they were small, about the size of what the moon used to be, But it was during the day. It was on the wrong side, I know where the ocean was from my house, and it's like, what's this? what? The sun rises to the east, and this stuff is over to the west. And I jumped online and I found Patty Broussard, and that was back when she was whistleblowing everywhere about Planet X.
Well, and that's
And
when she was kind of normal too. But I mean,
yes,
she kind of went off the deep end,
yes, she did.
I think that she came out credible at first, but I think she just turned out to be a shill.
Big time. I agree.
It's either that or I've even wondered if she's under the AI control heavily because she lives on the internet.
I think I'm going to bite my tongue.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing.
I don't listen to her anymore. I can't. I like. I really liked her at first. Now, forget it. I'm like you. I'll bite my tongue. So that's not.
I mean, when she's talking about. She went and blew up Nibiru, and I'm like, oh, Lord, what the heck happened here?
I don't know. She get out her little broomstick and fly up there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, Lord.
And the best part about it was when she said, and Putin wasn't very happy with me about that.
Yeah, right. I'm sure of
that. They can send a signal to her brain, neuro. And make her, to discredit her. They couldn't maybe turn it heavily on her, but maybe enough.
She's not even a she. She's a man.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And you tell me, all I know is she did awaken me, and that led me to many other people like Marshall Masters, whom I adore, and the one you were going to have on tonight, Evans over
at
Facebook.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and you ought to think about getting Sam Huffman on here.
I asked him. He's my friend. I asked him, and he said he's not doing interviews right now. But I'll keep at him. It's just that everybody's so overwhelmed with everything that they're doing. It just seems like it's hard to even get a booking anymore. I mean, look at Robert. I mean, when he didn't show up the last time, he said he apologized to me. He said, "Sure, I'll come on in 2 weeks." He said that day when I spoke with him that he ended up at the hospital, but his wife said he's still not right yet. Well, he never did have open surgery. So, when he doesn't show up like this, because this isn't like him, something's got to be wrong.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm so extremely aware of what's in the skies. And if you're familiar with Sam Huffman, then you will know how big these planets are and that they are in our, I look out the window and I can see them. I literally can see them everywhere. I see the small, the big, and and I've watched them grow since 2013.
Well, listen. I talked to Marshall Masters. What was it, last week when we had something? We had a huge overcast going on over here, and I was watching the sun. Light up the whole sky, and as the clouds became translucent a little bit, just a little bit to my left, I saw, the binary twin. And because look, when you look up in the sky, even when the clouds become translucent, the sun is so bright, it's very hard to look at, right? This thing I could look, it's clear. I could
can't even look at the sun. It blinds you.
Exactly. And I could look at this thing as clear as day, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I knew this was going on. I always believed it. I understood it. But to see it with your own eyes, no video camera, no nothing. I was looking up. The clouds became translucent enough where I could see this thing. I was like, oh, Lord.
Was it big?
It was probably a third of the size of the sun and about 3 to 4 sun diameters to the left. And what Marshall has been putting up forever, and the information and all the video evidence that's been coming in from him has been extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary. That's the only thing I could say.
Well, they had a 5.9 up in Canada about 13 hours ago. That is right in line with the fault line, the San Andreas fault line. If you go straight up from that fault line up into Canada where that earthquake was, it was a 5.9, and I've never seen a 5.9 up in there.
Well, I wanted to tell you were talking about the white squigglies coming down. I've seen the same thing today, and I took pictures of them this morning. Same thing. I've seen the same thing. There are two of them.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they are.
Look, I saw this thing as I was coming out of my studio, like I said, well, now about an hour ago, but a little over an hour ago. But I was like, that's no rocket. I've seen way too many rocket launches to know that was no rocket. Period. End of story. No one can tell me any different, and especially from California. A rocket, that rocket would have been the size of the Empire State Building or two or three put together in order to create what I saw outside my door. There is no friggin' way.
Oh my God,
that was a rocket. End of story.
We all have. I've been studying this a lot, every angle. And, in Revelations and the book of Daniel and on and on and on. And a lot of good people have really broken it all down, right? So we won't have a heart attack for, the things to come. And we all have to be emotionally ready, and I know it's hard.
You have to be emotionally detached from all this, because when this all comes down, and believe me, it's coming down. I know it's coming down. They're going to, and Marshall's so right. And again, he's right. He says, if you become emotionally attached from this, when it all comes down, you know what you're going to have to do for your family, immediate friends, and neighbors around you, because they're all going to be lost. They're going to be lost. They're not going to have a clue what the heck is going on. So you're going to say, look, and you say, this is what's happened. I've refrained myself from telling a lot of people because you would all tell me I'm a crazy tinfoil hat wearing nut. Right? So then when it comes down, they're all going to, guess what? They're all going to listen because they don't know what the heck's going on. And you're going to explain it to them. And then they're going to say, oh, Lord, I wish I'd listened. And then you're going to say, guess what? Folks, it's time to get a grip on reality. We're all here. We haven't perished. Like so many people are going to perish on the coastlines. We haven't perished, and it's time to get busy, as Marshall would say. Time to bust a move. That's his favorite thing. Time to bust a move, which means the most important things: food, water, shelter, and then after that, it's reestablishing a way of life that is not like we have been living up until now. Marshall always says, and I bless him for this, and I agree with him, he says, look, our future is to the stars. Okay, it's not back in the Stone Age, because if we go back to the Stone Age, we're just going to end up repeating what we have done until now. But if you make people aware of the reality of what has just taken place, and now we try and better ourselves as humanity, not greed, right? Not kings and queens and monarchies and all the rest of the garbage that has been hoisted upon us for centuries and centuries and centuries. But we say now is a time for us to be humans, to become loving, caring human beings towards one another, right? And we work for the betterment of mankind. That's what Star Trek really means. That's what it's all about, the betterment of humanity. No one, is above anybody else, and we work unitedly to become better than what we were. And once we can achieve that, oh, Lord, could you imagine where we could go and what our friends upstairs have been waiting for us to do this whole time, which I also happen to believe They understand and know that this is the reason why this is taking place, because it's a massive transition from the human consciousness. The human consciousness. We come in, we inhabit consciousness, right, to have this experience for a transition for humanity, for the next level of existence for the physical beings called human beings, to transition out of this greed state into a level of loving, caring beings. All you got to do is look up the Billy Meyer information. We had Michael Horn on, what was it, 3 weeks ago, BB? 3 or 4 weeks ago? He tells you flat out.
Yeah, it
is for the transition of humanity to go to the next level of consciousness. Very simple. But most human beings are greedy SOBs who don't give a damn about, their best friends in some cases, which is disgusting and deplorable through my eyes. But if this is what it takes for us to transition, so be it. Then we transition. And with that, I digress.
Well, what I wanted to tell you guys, Michael from around the world was talking about what's going to be coming in, and we're going to be getting a lot of wind, and with that, he said red debris, like.
Yeah, that's the red iron oxide from Planet X, exactly.
Yeah, he said to get masks, and I'm going out in the morning. I used to have them. I moved, and I don't know what happened to them. So a lot of my bug out stuff was stolen from me before I moved here. So I've got
thieves,
some.
Right?
What's that?
I said thieves, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Targeted.
Right.
So when you're
Every time
targeted,
I move, I'm
out, they shop at your house.
Oh, yeah. And so I've been replacing everything, little as I can. But what I'm going to do in the morning, and you guys need to do it, is go get a box of those surgical masks.
Well, I got Huggy Bear, I got boxes of them at the house. I got boxes of them.
Okay, keep them nearby. Keep
Yep.
them. I remember Robert Evans said on one of Badbaby shows last year. I remember he made a comment, and it stuck with me because I felt the same way. He said, "We'll be lucky if we have time to grab our bug out bags."
Yep.
Well, my biggest concern is this. I always go back to way when I was learning about this stuff. Did everybody forget about Gordon Michael Scallion? I hope you didn't, because he was talking about this back in 1997, 1998, when he was going through, his visions, and he was in a coma. He couldn't talk. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff was happening to him. Remember, he spent a fortune on creating the maps. Well, let's not forget what he did. He spent a fortune creating the new coastlines of all coastlines worldwide. Did everybody forget what the United States looked like? The Mississippi being completely separated, going up all the way through Michigan, and you're going to be safe, BB. Trust me, you are safe. The California coastline, the East coastline, Florida's gone. Did we all forget this? I never forgot it. It's always been in the back of my mind. And let's not forget about also Carlos Ferrata, right? The South American astronomer. He said there's going to be, he called it a comet planet. Let's not forget his words were and still are, that reverberate across the planet today. Comet planet. He says is going to cause. Go ahead.
I did some research, and I found. You ever heard that physicist, astrophysicist Jim McKinney?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I have listened, and he talked about this. I have listened, and he explained it when this system, and it's a system, 7 planets and a whole bunch of moons, and oh my God, a whole bunch, And as they came into our atmosphere, they turned it to comets. And I'm being honest. I in recent months I'm looking up. If I look at it a certain time, if I catch it out there, it's huge and it looks just like a dragon. It really does.
And that's why
tail.
they had talked about in what was it? What dynasty was it? Chinese dynasty. I'm trying to remember. But right and oh Lord, who was you? Badbaby, you know what I'm talking about. You had him on your show more than once.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm looking up math for
right,
Huggy.
that's okay. That's okay. But he's the amateur astronomer. No, the amateur astronomer who did massive research into this and put an incredible a website together in regards to timelines. Now he was saying it was 360 years.
Gil Broussard.
Gil Broussard. Thank you very much. But he did all the research into the Chinese dynasty.
Oh yeah.
At that
he went all
time.
over the world, didn't he?
Right.
Right.
But he did the timelines. I personally believe that he's saying 360 years. I think it's 3,600 years. I think Zachariah was correct. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that it was recorded with the Chinese scientists of that time that they were describing this red dragon in the sky. So they were seeing it back then. I think it was the Ming Dynasty, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but don't quote me on that. But I think it may have been that. But they were seeing that in the sky back then. Well, that's about 3,600 years ago or so, give or take, a decade or two. So we're starting this, cyclical event, meaning it is repetitive and it happens every 3,600 to 3,500 years or whatever, and we're seeing it right now. The animal die-offs. The animal die-offs have been massive. Here's the other part of.
I just looked up the animal die-off list, you guys. Huggy Bear, are you in the chat at all, or you're not?
No, I tried. I couldn't. I've been having a hard time getting any sound or anything come up on the.
Sorry about
I can't even get your room to come up, and that's been going on for, in another room on Talk Show the other night.
What does that
Lord.
tell you? Well, okay, then just jot down on a piece of paper because I posted it in the chat room. I thought I had seen that earlier, but Emergency Essentials, go to their website. They have the one fit N95 respirator mask, box of 20 for $5.99, and they used to be $22.
Huh. Yeah, I had all this. I've got to fast get it again. I have to. And thanks to Sam Huffman, who said, you don't have a lot of money, but I would rather have what I don't need than need what I don't have, and
Absolutely.
I even bought a big wagon. I did, a big one. I had a guy put it together for me, and it's got big wheels, and it's. If I can't carry my bug out bag, I can put that and my water and my food on it in case we have to move. Because I have a sad feeling, but I listening to John Moore enough that we're going to be on the move, maybe.
Well, here's the thing, though. Just remember this, and I need you to Huggy Bear, I need you to keep this in mind, and everyone else listening right now, I need you to keep this in mind. Okay. I had said years and years ago that long before Planet X would even, create a pole shift, which I personally don't believe is going to happen, because a pole shift would be the elimination of every human being on the planet. There would be no one left. You could make all the bunkers and whatever plans you wanted. We would be dwindled down to, a one-celled organism. This is a fact, okay? We have shifted 2 degrees, and I have said this repeatedly on this show and other shows. I have said it. 2 degrees have shifted. Look at what's happened with a 2-degree shift. Volcanoes going off that haven't gone off in a long time. Other volcanoes getting ready to go off, like super volcanoes, which now are heating up. And I hope and pray to the universe that this does not happen, because these are life-ending events for millions and millions and millions of people, right? Let's look at what has already taken place with the 2-degree shift. Massive ice meltings in the North and South Pole, okay? And then not just that is a small part of the equation. Like I said, the mass migrations of animals that now have lost their way because of that shift, they haven't been able to reorientate their migration patterns. This is why you're seeing all these washing up of all these incredibly beautiful, wonderful creatures on the planet. It's a process of time, because we all, including human beings, have something called magnetite, which is in our brain. And it's usually in either the tip of the nose or in between the eyes, and for all other animals on this planet, exists wherever. But the point is, that leads to true north for them. Once that 2-degree shift took place, that means their magnetic north had shifted. This is why you have seen all this incredible stuff happening on the planet, because they've lost their orientation. Now, let's not talk about the erratic earthquakes taking place, very shallow earthquakes taking place. What about all the erratic weather all over the planet? Look at the extreme cold. Look at extreme heat. People saying, oh, no, we're going to an ice. Oh, no, it's global warming. No. It's both. It's the extremes of both things taking place because of the shift. And pray to God it doesn't shift anymore. Now, from my friends above, they told me, and they had told me before this happened, there's going to be a shift. It'll be like 2-3 degrees. It won't be that bad, but it's going to have massive effects. Well, guess what? It's had massive effects from this binary system. Now, here's the deal, right? If the earthquake and global events, global extreme events get any worse, right? And then you have the debris coming in from this binary system. What do you think is going to happen to most of the population of the planet living on coastlines? What do you think is going to happen? There won't be any. And the proof of the pudding in that is go on YouTube and look at the videos and this is worldwide, right? Look at the videos of land masses underground with civilizations, that were brought down through land mass suppression, right? Where the land masses come down, covered by water, and these things happen instantaneously. It's not like it takes decades or a millennia to happen. These things happen very quickly. This is why you have all these buildings, ancient buildings intact, found around coastlines. You can look at it around Italy. You can look at it around China. You can see it right on the west coast, west coast of California. These things have happened, but it's the suppression through the mainstream propaganda press that keeps you from looking at the real information, right? And they've all known about this, and they think they all have their golden passes to some underground cave, which is their demise and doom anyway. The only ones who have actually the golden pass are the ones who hijacked, the technology from the downed UFO crafts from 1947 and created the back engineered technology, which is some of the crafts you see up in the sky. So they think that they're all going to be safe, sound, and fine. Reality is that our friends upstairs won't let them leave our solar system. As a matter of fact, they'll probably take those crafts away from them, saying, you know what, you're a bunch of criminals, and you're going to have to suffer through this just like everybody else. At least that's the information that I got. So,
have you seen the movie 2012?
Oh, sure. I saw it in 2009 when it came out.
I was on the internet about 2 years ago. I banged into it, and here's this somebody was whistleblowing, and they leaked these photos out of these two huge, I mean, massive, like in 2012, these massive. They're amphibian. They can go, they in the water, in the air, out in space, the whole bit. Huge, and they were for the elite.
Well,
And it
I
made
never.
me.
Can you do me a favor? Can you email that to Badbaby, and maybe she can
If
email that to me?
yeah,
Because I'd
if I
like to
can
see
find
that.
it, yeah. It was 2 years ago. I had it on my
Yeah.
website even. This, oh my God, and it was a real deal, and it was unbelievable. And I guess this person was trying to get the word out, and they looked like big sharks almost. I mean, but the size of, just huge, massive in size. And I thought of 2012, and I thought, that would probably be where they would survive. If you're going to survive anywhere, it would be under the ocean,
Well,
deep. You
and
have to go
that
down.
makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, most of the bases now, from what I understand from my friends who told me that, saying, all our bases have been pulled off the planet, and there's not just 1 or 10 or 20. There's hundreds of species on the planet watching and anticipating to see. It's like, this is disgusting in my point of view, but then I also understand where they're coming from. They're like, they have come to the arena to watch the game. And I know it's kind of twisted from that viewpoint, but then what did the Romans do, right? They put the Christians in the arena with the lions, and everybody else is watching, is spectating, and it's a big party for them, except for the people, the poor Christians who are being eaten by lions. It's kind of like the same thing, which is, in my mind, is weird and twisted as a human being. But then I also understand that there's the other side, that they had to be there to learn something, and the spectators had to be there to learn something. I get all that. Believe me, I do. But as a human being living in this life right now, that's twisted, right? That's really twisted to
I've
me.
had a very hard time. I'm sure you're familiar with Bob Fletcher.
Oh, yes,
Investigator.
very much, very much.
And there's others, and I have had, to be honest, a really hard time. I know they felt, 100 plus dumbs, and on us, on our grandparents, on our parents, on us, and they've robbed us blind. Americans don't even know they're being mind controlled in front of their own TV. They don't even know of a new world order. They don't know that there's drones over their heads.
They know nothing. They don't even realize
nothing.
that the system of taxation is that basically,
right.
A robbery. The system of theft.
They've been robbed.
They have no clue.
Look at the back of the dollar bill with the pyramid. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like a jerk, because when I was growing up in the city, we were kind of conspiratory, and pretty smart for, street. We were, city people, and that passed right by. I don't remember it being, if it was brought up, I missed that party. I don't remember. So, and the pyramid scheme it's the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, and so, I used to go up to D.C. all the time. I lived near there, and I enjoyed the museums and what have you, and never ever ever never did I realize that that the whole place was Rosicrucian, Freemasonic, demonicism. I didn't know. And I was no dummy, and it just blows my mind.
But the problem is, Huggy Bear, the problem is the only way is to open up your mind and start to learn. Most people want to keep their minds closed because they're, no, I don't want to know anything. They want to live in their little bubble, right? But at one point, when it affects them directly in their little lives, in their bubble, they're going to have to wake up, and the reality is going to slap them in the face. And the more they procrastinate, the harder it's going to hit them.
I agree. Well, what we're going to deal with, all of us here, that the ones that we are in the know. We know what's going on. We know what's happening in the skies. I mean, the majority of the people don't know about chemtrails, and the few that do don't get they don't understand. They don't get. I met one guy up here, from the country, and he knew about chemtrails, and his daughter was born with autism, and they did their research and said him and his wife figured out that it was from the chemtrails. But they don't even get what else that it's hiding, what's there. I mean, I'm like you. Every day I can look up and I see these planets. I don't see one. I see them. I see them all. I see them. They're big. Listen, look for dark, because the planets that we're seeing, they're facing us, is the dark side. The other side is lit up, so we're not seeing the lit side. So don't look at the white. Look at the dark, and start looking for a bit round. You know how an object is round. Start looking for that roundness as the clouds separate. And man, you're gonna once you get an eye on them, you're gonna see them even behind the chem clouds. And I'm being honest, they're massive. I mean, they're huge. They're humongous, and it's terror. I live with this by myself. It's terrifying. I've given up trying
whatever
to
you do,
up.
that right there. Don't be terrified. Don't be terrified. Just be prepared, because you are a person of knowing, right? You know what's going on. You know what's happening. And when these things come down, well, think about this. When these things come down, you are going to be in a position to help people. Forget about the fact that, Planet X is here, and and all these things are coming down. Forget about that. We already know what's happening. The reality is that you are going to be in a position to help people and transform our society from what it has been to a society where we want it to be. That's the whole thing. That is the upside to this whole situation, because I don't look at it as a demise of our society and the planet, and what we've created. I see a whole new era for humanity. That's the beauty of it. In a sense, it may sound twisted and morbid, but I'm actually looking forward to this, because guess what? We're going to be able to transform the planet from these evil, sick, twisted SOBs that have controlled and ruled our lives forever to a whole new system of reality and exploration for humanity. No more lies, no more deceptions, no more kings and queens, no more presidents, none of that stuff. You're going to see a whole different system of reality take place, where people don't want to be controlled, don't want to be ruled, don't want to be manipulated, and certainly don't want to be slaved down by a monetary system which tells you who and what you are and what position you hold in life. That's the difference. So you should be very happy, and you should be content, and you should be looking forward to this, because, look, if we were all doomed, there'd be no point in talking about any of this. I'd say, guess what, guys? We're all doomed, and, good luck. Hold down, do the best you can. If you survive, you survive. And then I take a gun to my head and blow my brains out, because I certainly want to live through that aftermath. The reality is the planet's gone through this before, and humanity's still here. This is our chance at a transition, a real transition into a new era of humanity, which is about love, peace, and enlightenment, and enhancement of our experience as we come into these vessels called human bodies. That's what you should all be looking forward to, because I certainly am.
I hope you're right.
I hope so,
because they've got
too,
people
but I
so
believe
thumbs
that.
down.
I believe that.
Well, they worked on Americans for decades dumbing them down. In fact, they grinded them down. And then with all the signals from the cell towers and the chemtrails and everything else, and they're lied to. I mean, I caught a movie the other day, and I could see that in the background they changed the sky. They altered all the sky so that
Sure.
after a while, right, people don't think anything of the lines in the sky and the weirdness and the whole bit. And I mean, I'm waking up right now. Are you seeing in the morning? I'm waking up to skies that are so orange. The whole sky's orange. So
I've been
I
very
took pictures
lucky. Well, I've been very lucky the last, it's been a week, because for the last 2 weeks prior to this week, we were chemtrail sprayed heavily. This week has been clear as clear can be, and I've seen nothing but beautiful blue skies.
They're high and stuff. And plus, they've kept our magnetosphere is really bad off, very bad off. It's taken a beating, and it's just, excuse me, between that and the targeting, and
Yeah.
I'm marked as a 9/11 truther, so
I know.
And and that's what they did. Oh.
And believe me, they're using cell phone towers. They're using anything that's available to them through their high technology to target people who talk about the truth. Period. I know that. It's a fact.
Exactly.
I know this.
It's like they sent the archons after me, literally. I mean, the technology is so unworldly that, it is enough to make you think it's from another world,
Well, but it is from another world. Think about the technology that they hijacked in 1947. It wasn't just the fact of the anti-gravity crafts, right? But all the other technology that they developed from that and have been able to use against humanity since then. And as the technology grew, somebody's going to start talking about, JFK. Well, we're going to have to do something about that. And somebody starts talking about 9/11 and what happened there. We're going to have to do something about that. And look at what happened to Puerto Rico at the embassy, right? Let's not forget about this. And that was mainstream news.
Okay, guys, I want to go over the mass animal death list a little bit for the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
Let's start with December 12th, 2017. 76,000 ducks killed in South Korea. December 11th, 16,000 ducks in the Netherlands. December 7th, hundreds of dead fish found in a river in Brazil. December 6th, millions of fish have died in a river in Colombia. December 5th, hundreds of tons of fish have died in 2 lakes in Indonesia. December 4th, 100 tons of fish have died in Indonesia. The 29th of November, mass die-off of fish due to red tide in Florida, in America. The 29th of November, thousands of dead fish wash up in Indonesia. The 28th of November, thousands of dead starfish wash up in Russia. The 28th of November, hundreds of dead fish wash up in Alaska. The 28th, 40-plus dolphins stranded in Indonesia, in India. November 27th, another 50 dead turtles wash up in El Salvador. So as you can see, and I can go on and on. In fact, I will put the list up in the chat room if anyone wants to look at it, because I could just sit here for 4 hours and read you the list. Our planet's dying, people.
Right, and here's more, right? From Strange Sounds, again, the sounds keep coming up. Most terrifying sounds in the Canadian woods, right? Now, I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this, but I'll try and play this over my headset right here so you can hear this. Here we go. There we go. There's those sounds again. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, we can hear it.
And there you have it. More strange sounds from Canada. This has been going on forever and ever, and it's just being more amplified as we continue to go forward here. And I was just going to bring up the other page, and it's just, it's ramping up more and more and more. Said, here we go, more strange, here we go, weird, strange trumpet sounds heard in Queens, New York, okay? Let me pull this up. And here we go. And there you have it. So it says, and this may be the fifth time I've heard this in the past 1.5 to 2 years. I always heard it when I'm here in my home in Queens, New York. The sounds can be varied, but always extremely loud, coming from everywhere, lasting 5 to 10 minutes. This has been a common occurrence worldwide. Now, when did this all start? Oh, right around about 2009, 2010, when all these people started posting all these strange and bizarre sounds worldwide, and they've only ramped up. They haven't gotten less. Yes, there's been quiescent points throughout the year, the individual years, but then they, reignite, and then you start hearing about this all over again. So, yeah, the interior core of the Earth is heating up. It's in the core of the interior of our planet is shifting its rotation, hence pushing that through the magma layers and through the rocks, and the surface area where we live on is being projected up into the upper atmosphere, being projected back down, and this is what we're hearing. At least this is my perspective on it, and this is why it's being heard sporadically and randomly throughout the whole planet. And it's part of the changes that we are inherently going to have to go through. And I think this is the effects from our sun being affected by this binary system.
According to Sam Huffman, and are you familiar with his history? That he worked in the DOMS over 30-some years ago, and he signed a whatever it is that he told them where to go, and they dropped him off in Colorado. And they stripped him of his education, the whole bit. He knew about this system. Right? Yeah, right. He knew about this system 30-some years as a teenager. He knew, but anyway, he says that these planets are so big, they're massive. They're so big you can't imagine how big they are, and that's just the smaller ones. I've seen them. I'm telling you. They're huge.
I don't disbelieve you, because I know what I saw. So I agree with you. It really comes down to how the effects of these objects, this incoming binary solar system is going to affect us. How close is it going to get to where it's going to affect us? And I've always maintained the fact that we're probably going to get pummeled by a bunch of rocks, and that's going to be the devastating effect that will probably, cause the deformations in most of the coastlines. At least that's my thought process. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but that's been my mindset for a long time.
Yeah, I'm worried about the debris field too. He says that the sound that you're hearing, all them strange sounds, all right, the planets are electromagnetic, and
Right.
they electromagnetically toss each other away from each other when they get too close, and they make this sound as they're passing near each other, and that it sounds like what you were playing.
Well, in my mind, anything's plausible because I'm not a scientist. And I really believe that anything's plausible. It could be that the electromagnetic effects of these bodies that are passing by, affect, the atmosphere and then create these harmonic, resonant displacement waves that, reverberate in our atmosphere. We hear these bizarre sounds in different pockets of the planet. That very well could be. I don't know, but I just know as a fact these things are happening. Fact. I never heard of this stuff happening. Hey, look, you can go back to 2005. These things never happened. Nobody heard of these things. The only thing I remember happening is as a precursor event to everything that's going now. Remember the Bandiachi earthquake, the 9.8 earthquake that wiped out, 250,000 people in about 8 hours? I remember that Christmas Day earthquake. That was the precursor event to everything else that we're seeing now. Then we had what? Then we had the Fukushima event, right? 2011. Then we had 2013. We had the asteroid explode over Chelyabinsk, and more events are happening more and more. You have all these shallow 6-point earthquakes and above now at about 10 kilometers. Something is disrupting the crust of the Earth. Is it the fact that, these planetary bodies are getting closer and heating up the interior body of our Earth, displacing our crust? And don't forget about Charles Hapgood's, Earth displacement theory. And they used that in the movie 2012, by the way, but they never talked about Planet X. They just said, "Oh, pole shift, displacement, and what was it? Not the neutrons. What was the specific word they used? I can't even think of it right now. But the point is, they never talked about in 2012 about what was causing that. But we all know that it's this binary system that's coming in, affecting us directly. And we're seeing all the effects of it right now. And please pray to Source, Universe, or God, or whoever is your God, or whatever, that we don't shift any more than 2 degrees. Because any more than 2 degrees, there'll be nothing left. If we go to 10 degrees, it'll be a total annihilation of every species. Forget the human species, of every species on this planet. Pray that this does not happen. Now, from my sources told me, 2 degrees was it. And they told me about this a long time ago, and then they said in the near future, which is around 2015, and they were right. So I'm kind of sticking to my gun, saying that I remember specifically them telling me this. I'll never forget this. It's always stuck in my mind. I said, what's going to happen when this system comes by and we have all these dramatic changes? It says, well, we will be here to help. And I said, how? How are you going to be here to help? And they said, well, we'll pick. And this is a biblical reference, which I found it so interesting because, I guess they're talking to us as how we view things still on this planet. They said, we will pick the wheat from the chaff. Meaning they're going to help certain groups of people and they're not going to help others, which in my opinion tells me all these SOBs, these evil monsters who have been manipulating and lying and doing all kinds of disgusting, horrid things to humanity, I think they're the ones who are going to be left behind, and I think a good portion of humanity is going to be helped. But that's my take on it. I truly hope I'm right on this, but but the more and more I watch this, the more I learn. I see that becoming clearer every single day. and especially after what I watched tonight, was like, are you serious? And I've seen this happen in other places around the world. Yeah, rockets. Yeah, I'll give you a rocket. I'll give you a rocket to the moon. That was no rocket. That was nothing but, again, mainstream media cover up and lies for what is coming in. And if these people, let me tell you this, if these people think that they're going to run in some hole in the ground, some multi-billion-dollar, underground cavern, they got another thing coming. Because I said this, I used to say this all the time. I said, please go in there. Go in there. Because if the Earth...
Robert, you want to answer the question that's in the chat?
I didn't even look at the chat, hon. I was just going off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Okay. Where's the chat? From who? From what guest?
Guest 4.
Guest 4. Let me find guest 4. How far back is guest 4 here?
It's the last comment.
Oh, this was said in his last 2 videos. From who? This was said in the last 2 videos.
Okay, Didn't Dave Dobbs say something about January 3rd, 4th planetary flyby or darkness eclipse?
Okay, Dave Dobbs asked something about January 3rd, 4th planetary flyby or darkness. Interesting. Yeah, I could have been. I haven't listened to any of Dave's stuff since 3 weeks ago, so I don't know.
He did mention the 3rd or the 4th of January, because he was saying that it would either be December or January, and I don't think we had the event in December.
No, we didn't.
We should get a hold of Dave and have him back on.
Yeah, we should. You give him a jingle and see if he's willing to come back on, because this would be interesting. Because after tonight, which is
I can email him. I can't call him.
Yeah.
Remember, he's in France.
Oh, that's right. But I'm sure he'll call. I'm sure he'll email you back and say, yeah. I don't think he'll have an issue with it. But
the thing is, when we're on the air, it's 4 in the morning over there.
Oh, that's right. That means he has to go to bed early to get up to be on the show, or just stay up all night.
Last time he said he just stayed up all night.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. Yeah, but Dave's what a sweet man. I said it last time, I'll say it again. He's a sweet guy. He really is.
He's always been very, very kind to me.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that he was very kind to you at the conference. That I know.
All right. Also, he mentions about transisting the tail.
Hold on, let's see here. Also, he mentions about transiting the tail. No, I cannot. No, it should be no, I cannot see this happening just yet. Guest 4, you should call in. We should have a chat. Join us. Jump in the conversation. Do it. Do it now. He said, oops. No, okay.
I have a question.
Come on, Rob. It's Rob from
Come on,
Waterford,
jump in,
Michigan.
man. Jump in the conversation. Call in. We can have a round table right now. Do it. Come on, you want to be the winners.
We've got about a half an hour airtime left, you guys.
Okay. Really? That's it?
Yeah,
Holy
you've
cow.
been chatty Cathy tonight.
Yeah, well, when am I not?
I love you, though.
Come on, Rob. Don't give me that. Sorry, I can't. Come on, Rob. Jump in. You can do it. Come on. You want to be with winners. You want to be with winners. Jump in, Rob. Do it, baby.
I have a
Come
question.
on.
Maybe you guys can help me. What would you suggest? How are you guys preparing? Not just emotionally to help people and spiritually, but any idea, on a low budget, what one could get? I mean,
Well,
to help
first of all, I want to say that I don't agree exactly with what Marshall said about why buy rice and blah, blah, blah. And this is why. First of all, I mean, it's better than having nothing. And all you can you can go into the grocery stores and the bakery and ask them if they got the buckets food grade buckets that they'll give away. If you can't get them that way, you can order them from Emergency Essential for $5 a piece. And all you do is you go into the health food store and you buy food grade diatomaceous earth. You can get a 50-pound bag of rice for $20, and it'll fill 4 of those buckets for $20. So, and you just take a cup of diatomaceous earth and you mix it in with the rice as you're pouring it a little bit more, and then pour the rice a little bit more, and then you mix it up with your hands, and that keeps it from getting bugs in it, the diatomaceous stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the point is, this is my point. Sure, it's going to run out, but then you also invest in garden tools and in the seeds, and they too are on sale at Emergency Essentials. They used to be like $49 for a canister, and I think you can get them for like $22. And they're the heirloom seeds. But you're going to have something to get you through. Granted, probably not going to be able to grow a garden until the ash clears. Who knows? You might have to have 2 years of food. But you know, my
just
point
on that note, just on that note, Badbaby, you know, the ash helps refertilize the soil in a way that most people can't imagine.
Right.
Because
refertilize the soil, but it's also going to block the sunlight.
Absolutely.
But my point is, you're going to want to have some type of stocked up something to carry you through until you are capable of growing your own.
I agree.
You don't want to starve to death.
Yeah, no, without a question. I mean, look, has anybody considered that you can take like some of the worst cuts of meat that they sell in a store, take that, cut it into very thin slivers, right? And then you basically turn it into jerky. You put it in your oven at about 110 degrees for about 8 to 12 hours, and you've got dehydrated beef that you can vacuum seal it or package it away or do however you can. That's protein that you can put away. Very cheap cuts of beef that you can't. What does it cost for a New York strip or porterhouse or whatever? They're very, very expensive. But you can take very cheap cuts of beef right now and turn it into jerky. It's very possible to do that.
You can stack up on those buckets of rice, and you can go into the grocery store in the spice section, and you can buy containers of soup base, and just boil that rice with water and put soup base in it, and it'll chicken flavored rice, beef flavored rice, whatever, and that'd be a cheap way to have something that would last a long time.
And, of course, then we had talked about this, I think, about a month ago. You guys, dandelions grow wild everywhere. They're a great source of nutrition and protein, and they grow wild everywhere. You could boil it up, and you're ready to eat. And it's not going to be the greatest tasting thing in the world if you don't have spices, granted. But if you're starving, you need to eat. Hey, it's there. It grows wild. Most people have no clue that is a great source of food. Period.
And it's also cancer fighting.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. So, I mean, there's so many ways. I mean, here, I used to talk about this, comically to a lot of people when I first started talking about it. I said, look, when this all comes down, I used to be a restaurant owner with my parents. I said, while people are all fighting at the grocery store to get food, they're not thinking about going to the warehouses to supply those grocery stores, right? You go to all the big purveyors, and they usually, these huge buildings are normally towards the outskirts of the city. They have boxes and pallets full of food. If you are aware of them and you can get to them, guess what? You've got a huge food supply source right there. But people don't think about that. They think immediate. Where's my closest store? My closest, a convenience store. This is what they're going to look for. If you make plans to say, hey, if all this comes down, I know how to get to, the food purveyors who provide all the food for restaurants. Yeah, granted, most of it's uncooked and, it has to be prepared. But if you can get a hold of that stuff, guess what? You've got a huge food source sitting right there. Just another thought. You guys there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was
I bought I bought a bunch of big barrels for water. And I'm even thinking of going out and getting blankets plus the rice. I've got some, but I've seen online where I could get big in bulk, big 50-pound bags, 100-pound bags, and that rice that'll go a long way, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I've
certainly.
got tons of canned goods.
I don't know if do you have a Gordon's Food, or a restaurant supply store around? Because I know Gordon's Foods up here sells 50-pound bags for $20.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
Yeah, they supply the restaurants. Look it up online, Gordon's Foods.
And that's my point. That's exactly my point. I mean, you can get all this stuff, and most people will be scrounging around to go to the local, Fry's or Albertsons or Kroger's or whatever. When you're saying, yeah, let them fight over that, I'm going to go to, the supplier who, brings all that food in.
Look for a restaurant supply store in your area. I know up here, Gordon's is what supplies them all, and they're also open to the public.
Yeah, which is great, by the way, which is fantastic. But let's hope it does not get to that. Let's just hope that, there's, at the worst, there's a couple of impacts at the most, and hopefully it doesn't, cause that much damage because, humanity is just now coming out of its infancy. It's out of its infinite state of awareness. We're just coming out of it now. And if we can get past this stage, truly I believe that we will go to the stars in a peaceful and in a peaceful manner that we will be accepted by all and I believe that's why they're all here. They're waiting for us to wake up and grow up, put away the matches, and say, we welcome you to the stars. Now you can join the rest of the community. And that's what I'm really hoping for. And I sure in the heck hope it happens. Because how many times have we gone through these devastations? Do we have to do it again? Do we have to do it one more time in order to wake up and say, this is enough? We've had enough of these games, and we don't want to be manipulated, be controlled, and told what and how and where to do it and when to do it, but simply be intelligent enough and grown up enough about who and what we are and why we're here to go to the next level of consciousness. I really hope that's the case, because I really don't want to go through this, and I don't think anybody wants to go through this. There's so much sensationalism put behind this. I mean, you go on YouTube, right, and the Earth is going to be hit by this, and Planet X is going to hit the planet, and it's just people trying to make money on other people's fear. And I'm so sick of that. I'm tired of it. I don't want to watch it anymore. I want to see people happy. I want to see humanity thrive and advance and move forward. And I'm tired of seeing people struggle, and I'm tired of people, watching all kinds of crazy, just absurd things that they're doing to make a living on this planet. It's the time has come where we either grow up, move forward, or we're doomed to repeat history all over again. And we've done it way too many times, over and over and over. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it. I want to see us happy and thriving and motivated mentally to have a different experience for our consciousness to reach the next level of existence where humanity has a bright and beautiful and clear, gleaming future. This is where I see us going. I sure the heck hope it goes that way. Tired of seeing people suffer. Tired of it. And by the way, with that comes along longevity. We may live 80, 90 years. Guess what? If you read way back in the big biblical prophecies of 5,000 years ago, those guys were living 800, 900 years. And we can re-achieve that through consciousness and awareness and kindness and morality and dignity for each other. We can achieve that. But we have to change our mindset, get rid of the greed, get rid of the I'm better than you attitude. We need to consciously be aware that every human being on this planet is having an experience for consciousness and evolve consciousness to evolve to its next level. We have to get out of that mindset. Without that, we're doomed to repeat the same thing over and over. And I, frankly, am tired of it, and I don't want to do it.
Neither do I.
And neither do I.
Exactly. And I think this is one of the reasons why we're all here talking about this. Great minds think alike.
If I can't make it, through to be of help to others as well, because I'm alone, it makes it way harder right now. I'm hoping that the biggest rock hits me, like right in the head. I mean, in other words, I want to go fast.
Right.
I don't want to know. Who wants to know what hit them? I guess the hardest part is coming. I mean, again, I've been aware of this since 2013, and I mean, I went through a couple of years there where that's all I did was prepare with what little money I had, and I mean, I've lived it and filmed it and the whole bit, nonstop, and you just can't come out of the shock of it, and I'm just having a hard time. I mean, I've even visualized myself going and talking to a shrink, and when the door closes, okay, what's your problem? Well, you see, I know about these 7 planets above, and I'm thinking, well, I could easily, if she wants to throw me in a loony bin, I can easily prove it because I'll show it to her online or my film, and then I'll think, well, wait a minute, I do this to my family and others, and people, nobody even wants to look at it. I did wake up my girlfriend and her husband. I did manage to do that, and they got prepping fast, boy, and they prepped their basement up. But
then you know what, Huggy Bear? Then you did your job, because if you could wake one person up or a group of people, you did your job. You did your job. No, I know that for a fact. You did your job, because it's
they even woke up their sons. Both of them had grown sons, so eventually it included them. So
now,
that's wonderful.
I have read some reports that people, because of the wildfires in California, that they're fleeing California by the thousands.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
awful. Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's just going to keep getting worse. I mean,
that's right.
You can see the earth changes. The trees look horrid. I mean, they do. The skies look horrid. The grass looks horrid. It's just the trees. To me, I've been watching the trees for several years. I can see the changes in them. They at times they look dead, worse than dead. And I have went through periods where I visualized, when the phone lines start, the electric lines start going down, and I had a vision of this as a teenager, and it was coming from the south, and it was it was debris, red debris coming down, and but what I visualized might maybe it'd be better. I not that it's going to be better, but if it could be, it was a heat wave a wave of energy that came through with it. It was a heat. I mean, the kind of heat that uh, melts everything.
But just so you know, we had talked about this. Badbaby and I talked about this. Directed energy weapons, and now videos are coming out everywhere, showing why you got these melted cars, and these homes completely burned to a cinder, but yet all these trees are nice and standing, and they have their leaves. Some have their leaves, some don't, but the trees are standing and they're fine. What would cause that? That's directed energy weapons, and I absolutely believe that. I do believe that. I wasn't sure about it at first, but then as I did my research into it, absolutely, without a question.
I started researching evil here on Earth. Becoming targeted. I'm being honest. The things that have been done to me, and this gang stalking, is so evil. And I've gotten into the virtual reality thing. I get that. I mean, real heavy duty stuff, which it appears to me. You're familiar with the Anunnaki?
Oh yeah, very much.
Okay. I think they're behind it.
Well, I looked at it as a generalized term for different species who have their own agendas or objectives, and they're doing whatever they need to do for their enhancement or whatever that they're doing it for. But no question, look.
Number one, their planet's parked down here.
But hold on, I just need to say this really quick.
Yeah.
Is that for anybody who believes that Dr. Stephen Greer is right, let me clue you in. Dr. Stephen Greer says that all aliens are good and benevolent and they're here to help us. Baloney.
Right.
That's baloney.
I agree. I agree.
That's baloney.
There are I downloaded them today. Matter of fact, to show someone else. In rock, like in Iran, on cliffs where not too many people get to this area, there are huge reliefs that were carved into the stone and the cliff, and it shows the Anunnaki, and they were a lot taller than poor little humans. And there's different ones, and they show how they had them all locked by the neck. They were slaves, but they had them all locked by the neck. And I got into what they were into, and they were into electronic torture. I can't make that up, and it all led to the Book of the Dead, and that's where the torture comes from, the electric torture. From the Book of the Dead, 5,000 years plus ago. I mean, these people were, and they were genetic masters. Okay, I don't believe I wasn't into stitching, so I wasn't around during that era. I've caught a glimpse of the guy, and the only glimpse I caught of him was that he was a Freemason, and he thought it was funny behind the scenes, and he was a bit of a doofus. And I'm just saying, and seems like he went to school with college with someone in one of the elite or something, so it was a big joke. However, they do say there's too many experts out here, and I've seen too many reliefs and statues, and you're right, Badbaby. It appears that after each cataclysm, there are seemingly good ones that come down, and they help mankind get they help them to get going again on their feet with food and everything, and even children, even getting them going. I can't make that one up. So there's too many statues in museums all over the world.
Well,
when I look at all the
but how you bear is it any different from today? from where we have these electronic collars that stop dogs from, leaving their fence yard? Isn't that a form of slavery, right? It's a mild form of slavery, right? But you put the choker on, you pull them back. I mean, it's just one species being dominant over another species because we want them to do what we want, right? So it's not much of a difference.
They're really cruel. I mean, you have to understand that they don't think like us. I don't even think they have a conscience like us.
I think they think exactly like us. See, that's the whole thing. I think they think exactly like us, and that's why I say that they're, if anybody believes that all, ET beings are here to be benevolent, help us. Well, the reality is, if that were the truth, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. The ones that are truly benevolent stay out of it and say, you know what, you guys need to grow up and get your act together, put away the firecrackers, and grow up. Those are the ones that are truly benevolent.
Stop waiting for God.
That's
God
right.
to come by in the sky
That's right.
Save us.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
Don't you think that was set up purposely to keep us from rebelling, let's say, or revolting against the elite?
Yeah, but their time has come now, because now you can see the revolt taking place all over the planet, right? What's happened since the collapse of 2008? Everything is starting to change, and it has been changing. It's been changing drastically, more dramatically, year after year. I mean, why do you think Trump's in office? We voted him in because he knew what was going on, even though he's not saying it through the mainstream propaganda lying press. Behind the scenes, he knows what's going on. He has known for a long time. Why do you think we voted him in? And why do you think all this nonsense about the Russian collusion and, he colluded? It's all nonsense. They have been trying like crazy to get him impeached, get him out of office, do anything they can so they can continue their game of manipulation. But their game of manipulation is coming to an end. All the pedophilia is coming out now, right? All the uranium was. That's right.
Someone turned the flashlight on the cockroaches.
You got it. That's it.
Are
the cockroaches are being exposed.
Matt Lauer would be exposed. All these people that are being exposed for their evil doings. And here's another one. How about that archbishop that just died, that they're going to have the big ceremony at the Vatican, and people are just up in arms because he admitted that he was the one that was behind hiding all these priests and moving them around from parish to parish to cover up their pedophilia.
Exactly.
So, he's gone bye-bye, and I'm sure he ain't up in heaven.
Far from it.
I don't watch TV for years now. What's this about Matt? What's his name again? The reporter, Matt.
Matt
Lauer,
about Matt Lauer.
He got fired.
What happened?
Matt Lauer got fired for sexual misconduct at NBC.
Huh.
Yeah, the wonderful Democratic Senator Al Franken, right? There's another one. I mean, this is going to keep coming out more and more and more. It's going to get to a point.
There's a whole list of them that came out this year that got caught. And
That's
Matt Lauer,
right.
he had a button underneath his desk, and he had one of the aides come in his office, and he buzzed his desk to lock the door, and he had sex with her. She collapsed. They had to take her to the downstairs for the first aid, I guess. But, I mean, she's not the only one.
Insanity.
People believe because they've got a prominent position and they've been there for years and everybody just loves them, they're abusing their power is what they're doing. They're using their power.
And they think they're untouchable. This is the problem.
Yes.
They think they're untouchable. And the reality is, guess what? Law and order is coming back into humanity. There's going to be justice, and justice will prevail at one point. It's coming to a head. We're watching it. It's coming to a point where now these so-called elites are all running for the underground. They're going to try and run away. Remember, what's his face? The going back decades and decades. The movie director who everybody in Hollywood, when they gave him an Oscar, were applauding like a bunch of jackasses. Well, what was his Roman Polanski? Remember who he raped a 14-year-old girl, a 13-year-old girl? Did we forget that? And then he fled the country from prosecution. I hope we haven't forgotten that. It's all coming back out. And that other sick, twisted, sycophant, what's his name, from England, that twisted nut who was basically, getting little boys and girls for his elite buddies, who had a television show.
Right.
I can't remember his name, but it's all coming out, every bit of it.
The guy in Michigan, he was a doctor for the gymnasts at Michigan State University, and he was sexually molesting and abusing these poor gymnast girls that were under his care for years. And they were going to Michigan State and complaining, and they were covering up for this guy. Well, guess what? He just went on trial and was found guilty. He was found guilty, and one girl already received a settlement for over $100,000. But I mean, these things are coming out to the light. I mean, why did Michigan State cover up for this man, knowing that he was abusing these young girls? Why? Because they're just as satanic.
That's right.
The universities are the ones that are playing a big part in targeting us people.
And yet, look at what everybody's done. That you got this big college bubble, right? People spending $50,000, $100,000 for a college education of regurgitated, mind-bending, mind-manipulating information to keep everybody in line. And now that's all coming to light too. Because think about this: all the information you ever need now is all on the internet, all of it. You don't need to go to a college for some professor to tell you what he thinks and what he thinks is right or wrong. If you want to study something, it's all online. You can learn if it's something you want to do.
I interviewed Robert Guffey, and he's a college professor. He came right out in the interview and said that the college will not allow him to suggest certain books. So, in other words, they're only allowed to suggest the material that the college okays. And he just, and I'm telling you, some of these books that he was naming off, I don't remember them all. I'd have to go back. But they were like The Wizard of Oz or...
And I'm sure Animal Farm was in there somewhere.
I don't know. He named a whole list of them off. And he got called in because he was told not to tell his students to read any of these books. So, there we go again, a form of control.
That's
but
it.
You know what, you guys? We're at the end of the show tonight.
Are you kidding me? You're right. Holy cow. I didn't even realize.
Would I kid you? Would I kid you?
No, you never have. I'm like, really? I'm like, I don't look at the clock. Holy cow. I thought it would have been an hour only.
Well,
Holy
next
smokes.
week, you guys, we have Walter Bosley is going to be on. He is a investigator for the underground dumbs and the secret space program. He has also been in the FBI. He's retired from that, and he's I think he is still doing private investigating. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look at his bio, but Walter is just a delight. I've interviewed him before. I have never interviewed him here, though, and I invited him the other day, and he said, sure, he'd love to come on. So he will be out here next Friday, and everybody have a wonderful Merry Christmas. It just snuck up on us, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. And Badbaby, I want you to have a very happy and Merry Christmas, and I just want you to know how much I love you, and you know what my heart is for you, sweetheart.
Well, my heart's in the same place for you. And thank you, Huggy Bear, for calling in tonight.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas and God bless.
Same to you, Huggy Bear. You have a wonderful Christmas. Keep your spirits up, and just remember, it's not going to be as bad as everybody thinks. And we are going to have a transition. We are going to have a transition on this planet. It's happening now. We're going to have a wonderful transition, and all these sick people, need to either get their brains re-educated or they need to go away. Either one or the other. But we are going to the stars, my girl.
That'd be right. All right, thank you. You guys take good care. See you next week.
We'll
see you next week.
Yeah,
right,
just
bye-bye.
be strong, everybody. You know, it's not the end. It's not doom and gloom. Whatever happens is in God's hands. That's the way I look at it. And if I shall cross over, then I shall cross over. And just look for the girl riding the Harley through all the blacktop roads. That'd be me.
Yeah, it would be you.